And if you could, if you have information that you can push forward that we can share with our membership, please put it in as concise an email as you can and forward it up to the bar, to Angela and or myself, just so that we can include you on our programming. We only have 15 minutes, and it seems to be a lot less time than I thought it would be. So we continue to have changes. One of the things that happened last night was the governor issued another emergency order, 28 FYI 19/20. And the significant thing that I note on this order is that if you violate it, it's a crime. You'll see that toward the end of the order, where she mentions enforcement. And then I'm going to touch base briefly on that and how it melds with, I believe it's Order 25, the one that came out on the 25th of March. And then on the judiciary branch side, the federal judiciary came out with GO 2020-4, which I just want to note of interest that it's effective until June 30th. It's also posted on the Maine Bar Association website, or a link to it, so that you could view that if you'd like. Also, there had been at least one region, the York County region, I noticed had taken on some responsibility in putting together procedural orders specific to that region regarding child protective cases. And yesterday, there was an order issued that revoked all of those procedural orders. So I don't know of any other regions that have set up their own procedural orders underneath the blanket of our state judiciary branch and all the orders that have been issued there on Monday. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the business side of things and the governor's most recent order. So we had a request recently, I think it was just this morning, that came in from a member that said, hey, how does this affect my business and being able to interact with my clients? And there was a specific question about, can clients come to my office? So first, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about what I'm doing here at my office. My employees all left. They're working from home, and you'll hear later I'm thankful for them. That was one of my personal side gratitude journal entries, was being thankful for my team of employees that are working from home, and they're engaging within the bounds of our governor's orders, as well as, trying to work with the orders we have coming from the judicial branch, and coordinating with me on making sure we get things out the door. And what I do is I come to the office. I am the only one that comes to the office, and I come to the office for mission essential tasks, which are essentially to be the hub of information. The mail, I retrieve the mail, I open it, we forward the originals that we have to forward, and I scan the rest, and we operate from that perspective. Now, one of the questions was, hey, what about clients coming to the office? Well, at the end of the day, we're officers of the court, and we need to interpret these orders that we have before us as best we can. We're supposed to be operating, and at least with regard to client contact, for mission essential purposes only. We are an essential, in the March 25th order that came out from the governor, we were listed as an essential occupation, the legal occupation. But in the new order that we received from the governor yesterday, it mentions that even an essential occupation has to have an essential purpose. Essentially, that's at least my interpretation of the reading. So if you are if you need to meet with a client, for instance, to execute a document like a will, which seems to be the most common, you got to think of creative ways to get it done. We have done what what we can do as an organization, and other organizations have even piggybacked on the MSBA and reaching the governor and saying, hey, use your emergency powers to adjust our rules of acknowledgement and notarization. And we haven't had leadership forthcoming on that yet. And I think at the end of the day, as officers of the court, you got to figure out how to make that happen. Now, yesterday, for instance, my team of employees put together an execution in a town gazebo where the gazebo is, I don't know, like maybe 20, 25 feet wide in a circle. And they all sat around the circle more than 6 feet apart and used rubber gloves, used their own pens that came prepackaged, and that's how they executed estate planning documents. Now, whether that has to change with the new governor's order that goes in effect at midnight tonight, not exactly sure, but I know that I'm working on my own way to notarize a document for a client today. So, and hopefully a procedure that will carry on after today. So I do have to say that, you know, banks have been really good about notarizing documents, for instance. So I'm just talking about notarization now. But I have to say, from what I've heard from at least 2 clients so far, the procedures by our local banks are not necessarily safe. Although they take precautions to limit the amount of contact that people have, the 2 occasions that were explained to me involved sitting at a desk across from another person that was going to notarize and passing the paper back and forth. So, you know, without masks, without, you know, plastic in between the 2 parties. So we've got to be vigilant. We've got to come up with proper ways to abide by you know, the orders that exist out there, but where the orders don't specifically say something, we need to carry out the spirit of not only the law, but our professional responsibility.
Ed,
yeah.
this is Angela. I know of other attorneys, just as another example, have done what we're calling drive-by signings, where the clients are, if something needs to be signed or witnesses, they're driving to the attorney's office, staying in the vehicle, and you know, there's the use of gloves, and they're getting the signature in, you know, from the car. Again, somebody has to walk up to someone closer than 6 feet, I guess, in order to do that. But it's another way to kind of minimize contact, but it's also a way you can witness in person a signature.
Yep. Thank you, Angela. And also the drop boxes are being used all over the place too. So for those that haven't implemented a drop box system, please look into that. So I just wanted to share sort of that business side of things. On the personal side of things, I'm still making journal entries. I'm thankful for my team that I work with. For a whole bunch of reasons, but mainly how very interested they are in servicing our clients and doing what they can to change the way they do things and their habits, their daily habits, to accommodate both working as a team and our clients. And I'm really proud of them. And regarding the 6 matters I think that we need to focus on personally that I brought up in the past. which includes sleep, I mentioned before, exercise, diet, hydration, keeping up our relationships, and adjusting our work tempo to stay sane. The exercise component I wanted to mention, please keep in mind that, just in rural Maine, being able to get up and walk around your home or your streets are a way of keeping up with exercise, letting people know that other people are still alive, that might see you from their home windows. I think is all a very important process, and getting out in the air and doing something for 20 to 30 minutes a day is so important, especially to get sun when we have sun. All right. As far as questions go, I wanted to be able to just tell you briefly about a question that we received yesterday from a frantic attorney. And that was, hey, I just got a final order on March 19th, for instance. And how much time do I have to file a motion for reconsideration, or a motion to amend, or a motion for more findings of fact and conclusions of law? Well, we have Rule 59, of course, that gives us 14 days. And then we have an order that says, all rule deadlines are extended by 49. But the question is, what happens if we have another deadline? And maybe the 21-day appeal period for, going to the Supreme Court or the law court is not necessarily extended in that case, which we're trying to get some answers on from the judiciary. We haven't got an answer yet. But my thought is, and you guys, if you can think about this, maybe even chime in with an email or something like this that we can address tomorrow. But my thought is, if you need to preserve an appeal, you preserve it, but you also motion. This attorney also came up with the idea of sending in a motion to enlarge. But if the motion to enlarge isn't acted on in time, we've got to do what we can to maintain all our options that we can keep open. And we're trying to get an answer as soon as we can on how the court views your ability to implement Rule 59 before a requirement to notice an appeal comes in. Is there someone that has any? Oh, Angela, I'm sorry. I know that you wanted to add something in particular about what we have coming up tomorrow, was it?
Yeah, so like everybody, the Bar Association now is closed through April 30th. We are still working remotely. Lisa will be going in on occasion to pay bills and stuff like that. I'll be going for mail, just like all of you were trying to figure out how to make the business run. If I come up with any good tips, I'll let you know. On a separate note, don't forget that we have a webinar tomorrow to deal with coping with the coronavirus, how to reduce stress and stay sane. It's at I believe it's at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and you should have received an email reminder today with that information. And if you didn't, feel free to reach out to me and I can send you the information.
Great.
And if you're not looking at the chat function within this right now, go down and at the bottom of your screen and click on chat. A few people have given us some notes of things they've been dealing with respect to the stuff we've been talking about, so you can see their information as well.
Yeah, and thank you. I did see there were a couple chats that came in. Before we close, I know it's 11:30. I just wanted to let the people know that maybe didn't hear this yesterday. We had found that there was an attorney or a group of attorneys that put together a proposed order regarding notarization and emailed it to the governor's office. And the group behind that was the banking, ABA, is it? The American Banking Association, or the MBA, Maine Banking Association, was behind that also. So hopefully banks will have some safer procedures in place too. All right, with that, we're signing off, and please email so that we can address those concerns tomorrow. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Dad.
You got it.